Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So, we're always talking about trying to get people to see things from a different perspective and all kind of influential change. And it's something you really have to condition yourself for. It's one of those things that's not going to happen overnight. Just like any great thing you could ever do, if you want to be strong, you're not just going to lift weights one day and wake up buff. It doesn't happen that way, obviously. Or if you want to be a great musician, you got to put the time and effort to actually play. I mean, you could be a natural. That doesn't mean if you don't put in the time and effort, you're going to be anything great. And so there's this real importance with anything you set yourself to, any change you want to make, any bettering yourself, whatever you want to do, there's some sort of conditioning you have to put yourself, you have to apply to yourself in order to see a successful outcome, usually. And a lot of people stray away from new experiences or changing themselves just because of this stress and this discomfort that comes from stepping into a new environment and dipping your toes into something new. And yeah, discomfort is it's discomforting, of course. It's not pleasant. But it also it's it's a necessity. It's just how our minds work. When you're in a stressful or a new environment, you're on your toes, you're a little stressed just because you're more aware of your surroundings. You got all your senses taking in more. Instead of off in your comfort zone in your mind, you're actually taking in your environment and you're real cautious.
You're focusing on what's there. Like, it brings you into the moment. Like, it just really gives you that sense of being present because you're constantly focusing on what's going on right at the time, trying to map out this, new experience.
Yeah, and that slowing down is really your brain learning something. Because you're actually, when you're slowing everything down, you're paying attention to stuff, you're all that nervous, you are so particular in what you do most of the time. I mean, you might fumble around because you're nervous or anxious, but you're still very precise in what you do. And it's your body making new motor skill connections or some neuron connections in the brain to, okay, this is what we're doing. And it's like shooting a gun for the first time. I don't know if your experience was like this, but mine was very stressful. Because there's so many things to it. If you're a responsible person and you're shooting a gun for the first time, it's like, all right, don't point this towards anybody. Like, always keep it down range. Like, hand off the trigger. Like, so careful. Like, okay, what do I do? Can I cock it yet?
I was pretty young. I think I was just excited. I was like, all right, just tell me what to do so I can do it.
Yeah, I was teens.
Yeah.
I was just with friends shooting in a backyard, but I was like, there was just so much anxiety because it's like, well, I could really kill someone. Like, if I fucked up, like, So it's just so much anxiety. It's just, okay, okay, don't do anything wrong, don't do anything wrong. And it was fun, like I definitely enjoyed it. But there was all the anxiety and stress there. But I kept at it. I kept doing it. Go out shooting more. Got a gun of my own, and it was just became a thing, and it was much more comforting. When I go to a range now and fire a gun, it's not a stressful experience. Before, when I walked in, you'd hear all the other guns shooting off, and it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like, is this my lane? Like, how do I operate this target thing? Like, there's just so many new things to it, which were stressing me out.
When I sold my rifle, I took it to the range, and I didn't like the scope that was on it, and the batteries were dead, so I took it off, and I ended up, it didn't have sights on it either, but I wanted to shoot it because like I never got to, so I did, and I ended up hitting one of the clips. One of the clips that clips your targets up there. I was like, whoops. I think I was like 11 or 12 first time I shot a gun. And my only worries with it was I was certain that it was going to like kick back and break my nose. Like completely overestimating it. Mind you, it was two 22s. There was a 22 handgun and a 22 rifle we shot, but at the time I was like, oh man, should I be doing this? And I was just like, pop. Oh.
But yeah, anytime you walk into a new experience, there's going to be fumbling, there's going to be the discomfort, there's going to be the anxiety most of the time, not all the time, but it's not far from common, and it's something that shouldn't stray you away. You should just look at it as your body staying on its toes. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And it's once again that whole if you get too comfortable with something, it becomes dangerous. So it's kind of good to have that edge, even just slightly. Just keep you on your toes. If you're working with power saws, you get too comfortable, you're just not paying attention when you're cutting. Who knows? You might just cut off your finger one day.
Yeah.
Just some things, even when you're comfortable doing things, you still should have, I don't know, caution in that subtle anxiety. Or if you're playing guitar, I mean, there's really no anxiety to playing guitar unless you're, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit a wrong note. But there's still that awareness you have to be conditioned to think of how you play and being able to think on the spot.
Really keeps you on the leading edge of your potential too. Keeps that gap smaller between what you're able to do and what you're actually doing if you're always having new experiences. Plus you just figure out a lot more about yourself too, and figure out what you like to do, what direction you want to be taking your life in with your decisions.
Most definitely.
The universe is just trying to basically experience as many things as possible. Play out as many of those possibilities like we were talking about before.
And you're
so why
one
not help it do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to it, boy. It's just an important thing to condition yourself to. And it's It's all over too. Like
Hold
six.
on a sec, I'm about to make some moving noise.
Okay.
Good.
We constantly condition ourselves, even things we're not aware of. If you live in a fluctuating climate area, such as Ohio, you get the summer months and the cold winter months.
No, here.
Yeah.
Do we have seasons?
Yeah. Not really. But you can tell, like 60 degrees in the fall, that's a little chilly. Like, you get a little chilled when that comes on. But you get through winter, you get that freezing cold winter, and you come up into spring. In those 60-degree spring
60
days,
degrees.
you're throwing on shorts.
Summer's coming.
Yeah, you're just ready. It's so
Bring out
warm
the palm
out.
trees, boys.
And your body was just conditioned to being so cold over the winter years, months.
Feels like it.
Sometimes it feels like years. But yeah, you get so used to the cold that as soon as the warm comes, it's like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And then you get conditioned to the warm weather. As soon as summer comes, you're blazing hot days, and then when it starts to drop again, you just
60 degrees, like, watch out, just make sure there's no ice out there.
Yeah. I had to defrost my window. Gotta condition yourself, and it's no matter what you're trying to change, whether it be physical or breaking a new habit, breaking an old habit, picking up a new habit, any personal mindfulness changes you want to make, there's always going to be that conditioning, and you have to find that sweet spot for you. How much is too much? You have to put it in your schedule, but you don't overbear yourself with it. Is that correct word? Overwhelm yourself with it. Where did I get bear?
Is overbear a word? I feel like it's like overbearing.
Overbearing? Yeah.
Overbear yourself.
Overbear.
I don't know if I've heard it used like that, but I don't see why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, just find that sweet spot though, just enough, but where it's not overwhelming and stressing yourself out. Just like exercising. I mean, it's muscle memory for your brain if you're putting some mindfulness change, whatever. But if you're making physical changes, it's the same thing. You have to work up to it. If you haven't worked out in a while, let's say you worked out all the time, and then you stopped for a whole year, you got injured, you were out for a whole year, and you tried going back to where you were when you left off, you would kill yourself. That's too much. You gotta slowly work into it, get back in the groove. You want enough so you're making those gains, but you don't want too much to where you're putting too much stress on your body. You're going to injure yourself again, you're going to be out, or you're going to be too sore. So you got to find that sweet spot. But if it's something you're really serious about and you want to do, then you have to do it and take those steps into the dark. Maybe be uncomfortable for a little bit, but if it's something you really want to do, just know that discomfort will eventually lift off if you keep at it. You got to condition yourself to it. And once you condition yourself to anything within human reason, you can do whatever you want. If you do want to be a painter, put some practice into painting. If you want a career in the military or something like that, but it scares you thinking about it, I mean, jump in it. get some practice. There's anything you really want to do, if you put your mind to it, the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. That anxiety and discomfort, it's like as soon as we grow up and we went through school, even before we finished school, we think we learned everything we need to know, and it's just stick to what we know. That'll be the happiest life. But then we always complain about things we can't do, or why I can't do this.
Isn't that weird? Like, it's like when people hit. Isn't that weird? It's like when people hit. Trying to make the editing a little easier. It's like when people hit either a certain age or some sort of milestone, maybe moving out or graduating school or something. People get this just weirdly this weirdly certain sense that they just know what you're supposed to do about things. Like you just, I know, like most people aren't open on a regular basis or consciously open or aware of all the things they don't know that they could be learning. You know, nobody focuses on what they don't know or what they would like to know until they have to do something and don't know how to do it, maybe. And I think that's one of the, great things about the internet is that so many people can learn so many things so much easier just because they're curious. And that might be it.
Yeah, even like auto mechanic work. You know how many people could really actually work on their cars?
I've tried. I still just don't really trust myself as much. And I don't want to get stuff off that I can't put on and have to need my car.
But there are a lot of people that could easily fix it themselves.
Yeah.
Just do so much stuff for themselves. But because of that stress and the unknown, like, I'll just pay someone to do it. Like, fuck it. Like, just get it over with. I'm guilty of it myself.
That's me. I need to...
Like, if you don't have to do it, then fuck it.
Right. Especially with my bike, because on one hand, I'm like, well, I want someone that knows what they're doing and that's done this before fixing it, instead of me, like, oh, let me just be my own guinea pig. But then at the same time, like, it's such a good opportunity to learn how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And learn how to fix stuff on my own. But then I also don't want to take it apart and then and then do something wrong. I almost put my intake in myself that time that you helped with.
Yeah.
Almost.
But yeah, there's definitely, we really limit ourselves in what we can do, and probably how we feel, just because we're too afraid to make changes and really take the time out for ourselves to just do what we want to do. You're living the life, like, if you want to do it, then do it.
Yeah. But
don't complain when you don't do it.
Right. Like, there's some kind of person you want to be. What does that person do? Just think about what that person does and then do that. You're not going to be that person you want to be if you're not doing what that person does. It's like a cat wanting to be a cat but not wanting to do what a cat does. So basically, my cat doesn't know how to be a cat. But
still does its thing.
Yeah.
Be's the cat that wants to be.
Yep. You know what it doesn't do, though? It doesn't complain about not being good at being a cat.
Just does its thing.
That's what that thing is. A cat that's just not good at being a cat. Like, that's what it is. It's like you have this kind of cat, you have this kind of cat, and then you have up a cat that's not good at being a cat. So it just does what a cat that's not being good at a cat does.
So conditioning, once again, it's just like building muscle memory for your brain and just for whatever experience you're getting into. And even if you're
Cortex flex.
and even if you're doing something physical change, you're still going to need the mental conditioning to go with it. So you just have to be open to these new experiences and be able to just walk into them and not be so steered away by the anxiety and discomfort if it begins to happen, because after all, it is your body just being more aware, and it's being more aware for a reason. It's just doing what it does. It's learning. And perhaps say you just start, okay, you take my advice. Let's start walking into the unknown. Well, once you start doing this, you can start conditioning yourself to just be able to go into these unknown situations and changes and be okay with it. You're going to work yourself up to it. Once again, it's just, are you used to it or not? But if you're used to doing more things, you get that ball rolling. You're just able to do it without thinking. You just, okay, here's my task, apply. You don't have all those, I don't want to do this because of that. It's, you condition yourself to conditioning yourself. And it just really opens, like you were saying, it opens so much more for your life and what you can do, because you're just so more open to new things, and you're just more accepting of things instead of, ew, that's not me. You don't want to listen to your favorite boy band in front of your friends because it's not you. Just be open to it. Just go with it. It's your thing. Just be able to walk into those new situations. Just be all right with it. You'll get used to it. If you like it, go with it. Just get used to it and do your thing. But if you don't like it, then you never have to experience that discomfort again if you don't want to. Simple as that.
At least then you know.
Exactly.
So something else that just came to my mind about about what we're talking about. Just in a moment of spontaneity here. Life is like a roller coaster. So when you're riding that bitch, so on new experiences and such. One way you can just go through life looking at things that a lot of people don't is so one way you can go through life, just one way to look at things going through life that a lot of people don't, is we've kind of talked about this before with the not looking at things as, like, not looking at bad things negatively as something that's happening to you, like something bad that's happening to you. That was fucking woo. But we were talking before about not making yourself the victim in situations and not looking at bad things as like something that's bad that's happening to you, but just seeing them as happening in the universe. And when you start to look at things like that, not just bad things, it's not like just a tool to make you feel better about undesirable situations, but you can take that view about everything in life and just look at it like you would look at anything else walking through the park or something. You know, you can look at a whole bunch of stuff and just get that feeling of satisfaction. Like, say you're walking and you see just any cool thing in nature, maybe a waterfall, a animal you wouldn't usually see, or mountains or anything that, like, when you look at it and it makes you feel good, you get that, just whatever you want to call that, satisfaction. Just that, like, oh, look at that. And you can take that kind of view and apply it to anything in life. You can go through all of life, like every day, everything you do, you can go through life with that view. And the more you're able to do that, the more things you look at and get that, like, that shot of satisfaction, that just like, oh, look at that. Like, oh, that's something that happened. You know, like, that's, oh, like what the universe did there. And, you know, you can think like that about anything. And it just adds so much more of that satisfaction to your life, that, like, it's not like a satisfaction that's you get from, like, eating good food or spending money or, you know, something like that. It's just a very simplistic, natural satisfaction that, I mean, you can't even really explain. You can't, like, look at something like some mountains or something and you can describe how it looks to you, but you can't really explain why it's satisfying for you to look at. And so you can apply that view to, like, everything going through life. But if you limit yourself and don't allow yourself to put yourself in new situations and have new experiences, then you start to lose that, because you're not going through new experiences to see new things. You're not seeing as many things that gives you that, like, ah, look at that moment. And even if it's, usually when we think of something we can do or we want to do and we think about why it's going to be uncomfortable, it only seems like it's going to be uncomfortable because we don't know what's going to happen. But that's especially going through life with that view, like that view of just looking at it like you would look at anything else in nature, or anything that makes you feel good. When you limit yourself on those new experiences because of the unknown, because you don't know what's going to happen, that's the whole reason that's the whole reason you get satisfaction out of other things, is that unknown, because you didn't expect it. You know, if you're walking through the park, through the woods, looking at a tree is going to be a lot less exciting than looking at the waterfall you come across. You know, because you weren't expecting it, and it's new, and it's something that you don't see all the time, and I don't know, it's that same thing. It's just in one scenario we make it a negative thing, and in one scenario we make it a positive thing. And if you can see that and see those as the same thing, then you can just go into everything looking forward to it and being excited to see what comes out of it. And no matter what happens, even if it's something bad, you're like, oh, well, that's how that works. You know, that's what that did. And it's just doesn't have to be bad. It's just how that universing happened, just how that came up. Just
It
like
is
waves
what
on
it
the
is.
ocean. Just some waves don't do anything, some waves do bad things, some waves do good things. And if you're a surfer or something, you can look at a wave and be like, oh, that's a good wave or that's a bad wave from that perspective of what you want to do with it. But at the end of the day, waves on the ocean are just waves on the ocean. It constantly gives you that break in consistency we were talking about before too. And it can, like, we were talking about before how people are sort of always looking for that break in consistency, and a lot of times people looking for that can make them be or make them attract or be attracted to drama and stuff just because it shakes stuff up a little bit and it's something different. And taking this view on life where you're just going through life looking at it like it's a show, or like you're just appreciating everything as you look at it, can fill all that space. It can fill all that need for that break in consistency, so you're not attracted to drama or attracting drama.
It really allows, there's that it gives you the ability to have that flow of new thoughts arriving in your brain instead of being stuck up in your thoughts and constantly thinking about the thoughts that we're always talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that because when you're thinking about thoughts you're not experiencing, and you're usually dwelling somewhere where you probably shouldn't be dwelling.
Yeah.
Just leads you to
recycling old stuff.
stresses. What do I have to do? Oh, I got to do this tomorrow. Oh, I did that yesterday. It was a horrible thing. Just drop it and have a new experience. Or when people get off work and it's, oh, this happened at work. And all throughout the day, they're telling everybody they meet about their horrible day at work. Well, you're just reliving the whole damn thing every time you tell it. Give it a break and think about something else.
Yeah.
And so you're just allowing all this new thought to come in, and you're just, it's a more accepting state because you're just letting it happen rather than thinking about those thoughts. And it's, you take a car ride versus walking somewhere. When you're driving in a car, you're going really fast. This is your mind just racing and all of its thoughts. You're not really paying attention. You don't really have a chance to look at the scenery. It's just maybe there for a second and then it's gone. But when you're walking, you're slowed down. You're just going so slow. You have the time as you walk by to appreciate everything you see. You can pick out the details on the houses. You can see all the fire hydrants, the trees, just so much more detail because you're just going slow. You're just able to pick out more. So your mind's racing, you're thinking about those thoughts. Everything's just whizzing by you. You're not experiencing life. But if you slow it down, you focus in, you're letting all these new experiences come to you. You're just able to really just pick out what you want and enjoy it, or even just do what you're here for. You're experiencing. You get more time to experience. Be in that nice, pleasant state of mind rather than worry and anxiety of whatever it may be.